Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakak Kodash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to those for elect, hearing this word in truth and in sincerity. Alright, I'm the brother Awalum from the GMS West Palm Beach Camp, back with another lesson. In this lesson, I want to go through real quick how Christianity is losing its validity, day by day. And what I mean by that is, what once made Christianity, and these other religions, but Christianity is if they're the biggest ones in the world, one of the biggest ones in the world, and pretty much, that's one of the major strongholds that the Lord has broken down, through his servants, the prophets. You see, because each and every one of us, and I'm not gonna say every one of us, but most of us, we grew up, calling our Lord Yahweh Shai Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And we understand now that that's not the name, and so we don't say it no more, but the fact that name, Jesus doesn't ring a bell no more. Like when you hear a common person out there saying it, it sounds like a joke, man. When people say, and I hate saying the word, but when people say Jesus Christ, it just that, back when you were in Christianity, you'd say it, and then it means something to you. Now when you hear people say it, it's like, it sounds like a joke, So the Lord is pretty much breaking these false religions down, man. He's breaking everything down that this world, perceived him to be, and the truth is going out, right? So this is 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4, and it says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds." You see? So the weapons of our warfare is not carnal, right? Meaning what? That the spiritual battle is not going to be fought with physical weapons. We're not going to go and get ARs and, go battle the spiritual demon Satan, or even battle the so-called white man. We're not going to do that. Because this is a spiritual war, and therefore we fight through the scriptures in the spirit. It says, reading the last part again, it says, "But mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds." See? Christianity is a major stronghold in the world. Now, of course, you still got people out there, that's holding on to Christianity. That'll be for so long, right? Because Yahweh Shai is getting ready to do a major work in the earth. He's getting ready to pretty much, make his name known among, the world, through his works, through the judgment getting ready to be done. Because as it was done in the ancient world, when he delivered us out of ancient Egypt, the name of the Lord was magnified. All right, you best believe the Egyptians, they had all kinds of gods that they worshiped, but when the Lord pretty much, sent the plagues upon Egypt, the name Yahweh was known. The name Yahweh was known, not no other God that did that. Matter of fact, when you go to the account of Rahab the harlot, she had said, "We have heard, the things that your power have done for you." So the name Yahweh was known after the plagues, after the destruction of Egypt. See, so when the Lord, do what he does in our time now, it's not going to be attributed, to Jesus Christ. Nah. Because at the end of the day, when when these things happen, nobody's gonna have an explanation. Like these other people out here, they're not gonna have an explanation to why it's happening and who's doing it, but the prophets, man. Right? All right, like what's going on? Well, why is this happening? Well, the Lord is angry with the world. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua is angry with the world. You see, and that's the explanation. It says, verse 5, casting down imaginations, see? Imaginations, things like Christianity, Buddhism, all right, being a Muslim, these are all being casted down. And that's why there's a major pushback by these bug outs that believe in this madness. It's always these people don't come against each other, they come against the truth, which shows you that this is the truth. The fact that y'all have nothing in common but to come against the truth, that shows you that this is where it's at, and y'all want to overthrow the same thing, so you have to go and freely worship your garbage. All right, it says casting down the imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High. You see, and that's Christianity. That's Christians. Christians are holier than thou. They act like they act like they the shit. Nothing can go wrong with them. But then again, they're hypocrites, because y'all act holier than thou in the church, but then outside the church, they're doing wickedness, man. Whether it's eating abominable things, or whether it's committing adultery, whether they're doing abominable things, you see. But then when they go to church on Sunday, now they got a dress on, they got one of those hair wrap things on to the women, and then for the men they got a suit on, stomping their feet, clapping their hands, as if they're sincerely worshiping the Lord. They're not. Okay. It says, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach. You see? So this is what we're doing through the Spirit, beginning with our apostles and elders. Like the scripture says, it says, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach. So if your thought is on that Christ is Lord, whatever you want to say, that's a stronghold being broken down. If your thought is that Allah is gonna save you, that's a stronghold being broken down. These are strongholds being broken down. And y'all gonna be tried. A lot of people that believe these other religions, they're going to be tested, all right, in the Great Tribulation, as it says in the book of Judges. Judges 10 and 13, it says, and this is referring to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, all right, that worship every god under the sun. You see, and that's what our people do. They like to worship these different gods. And then when that tribulation comes, that's when they want to cry to the Most High. And Jake has a pattern of doing this. When you read the scriptures, they have a pattern of doing this where they're being into idolatry or doing wickedness, and then the Lord will send judgment, and they're crying to the Lord. The Lord saved them out of it, and they go right back into the same bullshit, man. And this is Judges chapter 10 and verse 13. It says, yet ye have forsaken me and served other gods, wherefore I will deliver you no more. You see? And that's the Lord speaking. He said, I'm not going to deliver you anymore. Verse 14, go and cry unto the gods which ye have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. You see? So Lord, when the heat come down, right? When the heat comes down, this is gonna be the Lord's response. This is gonna be the Lord's response to a lot of our people, that have heard the truth and that has waved their hand at it, that they didn't care to serve the Lord. Well, the Lord's gonna say, go and serve the gods that you have chosen, man. But what Joshua said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So Lord willing, we be on the Lord's good side. When judgment come, we're gonna watch everything play out. When it's all played out, Lord willing, we're gonna get beamed up into the chariots. To watch the destruction of America, Babylon the Great. All right. Because as it says in the book of Revelation, it talks about they standing upon. Let me see if I can find it. It's in Revelation. The chapter, it slips me for the moment. I'm gonna type in a word for it, sea of glass. Because at the end of the day, the remnant, the elect, gets the victory. Start from verse 1, Revelation 15:1. And I saw another angel, it's like another sign in heaven, great and marvelous. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Most High. 7 represents completion. And the plagues is what the Lord is going to judge the world with. So, the Lord got 7 plagues, complete number of plagues that He's going to pour upon the world. And this is not going to be something fun, man. This is not going to be something, pleasant. Because, Jake would be, Jake, I'm an Israelite. I was thinking about that. Jake would be like, I'm an Israelite. I'll come back in the kingdom anyway. So, I don't care. I'm going to live my life right now, and then I'll be back. I'll be back in the kingdom. But, you don't want to go through those 7 plagues, man. You don't want to go through, the things the Lord got prepared for the wicked of this world. Because you got to remember, this judgment that is coming is for Esau, of course, and the other nations. And 2/3 of our people, they're going to be in the midst of that. But the judgment for Esau, is pretty much going to be unbearable. I wouldn't want to go through Esau's judgment, man. Right? The scriptures talk about how they that are joined unto them shall fall by the sword. All right? Verse 2, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast. You see? This is them who has got that had gotten the victory over the beast, man. The beast being what? Esau's sister. America, NATO, and the EU. These collectively make up the beast system, man. In our times. Okay? It says, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over the number of his name stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of the Most High, and the song of the Lamb, saying, great and marvelous are thy works, Lord Almighty, Lord Power Almighty. Just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints. So this is going to be the elect. Well, this is the elect because, in the heavens, this event has already passed. Because the Lord's time is not our time, you know. But I'm going to keep it simple. Yeah, the elect is going to be singing this song, you know, above the firmament. When Yahushua beams the elect up, you know. So that's the spot that you want to be on, you know, when it all goes down, like above the firmament, watching the destruction of Babylon the Great, man. All right, so that's pretty much the point. All right, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to those that watch. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakakodash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to those who elect hearing this word of truth and in sincerity. Until next time, I say shalom. The Bible ball. Shalom.